What's up, y'all? James here. It's been a minute, but summer is over, finally. Back to a normal schedule, which is great. I love summer. I love spending time with my kids. I love that whole break, but also I really like the routine. And when you work from home, having a house empty really makes things easier to get a lot more work done. So I'm excited to really jump back into things and really plow through a lot of the stuff. And I've got some updates for you. So I wanted to kind of bring you a state of the union post summer and some of the things that we're working on. So first things up, I think there's some Wonderland's Wars news that some of you have probably already heard. But Wonderland's War has returned back to Druid City Games solely. Will not be partnering with Skybound on that going forward, just like all the back catalog of everything that was Druid City Games. So it's all back to me. Very excited. With that, going to be doing a reprint / mini expansion return to Kickstarter in October. I have not finalized that date yet, but it'll be mid-October, probably right after Essen. And really excited. The mini expansion is really cool. The idea is the mini expansion. Now, this is going to depend on whether or not you sleeve your cards, but if you don't sleeve your cards, will 100% fit in the box. It is just going to be a deck of cards for the most part. If you do sleeve, we will test it and see how well or not well it fits inside the box. But the idea is that this is a smaller expansion that will be modular. It'll have a way for you to add new content to the game, and it's going to be called Shards of Madness. So just the general concept is that the Wonderlandians have now become infected's not the right word. And thematically, the Cheshire Cat has been doing what the Cheshire Cat does and has been feeding the Wonderlandians shards and is turning them more mad. It's like sprinkling in the madness back in, but in a bad way, right? In a hurtful way. So mechanically, what you'll see is that the shards will now have, if you decide to play with this modular expansion, right? You'll swap out the Wonderlandian deck for this Wonderlandian deck, and now all the Wonderlandians and their artifacts will have mechanics that are kind of ramped up a bit, but they also come at a cost with like either taking or giving away shards. So it's a really fun concept that we've tested a few times, and we're really excited about it. Playtesters are going to be going through it very soon, and balancing and all that fun stuff will happen. But the big idea here is obviously to allow people to have access to the deluxe edition, which is sold out everywhere and going for $400 on eBay. Also, for anyone who bought the retail edition, you will be able to buy the premium ships independently. Currently looking at the different options on what I can offer, because I know some people have asked for the special mini meeples, right? The custom meeples, and some people have asked for the really cool bags. I don't know if I should patch that all together as like here's a deluxe upgrade that includes the chips in the meeples and the bags, or just the chips. I think most people just want the chips. Right now we're just working on pricing. Everything is much more expensive to make than it was 3 years ago when we quoted this and put our pricing together. So there will be a pretty drastic price increase. So I'm sorry about that, but everything. So here's the thing, at least here's the way I do business, right? Everything is done off of a scale, of a percentage, right? And so if something costs X, it has a multiplier that's put to that. That multiplier is not like, it doesn't really go up or down. It's not adjusted. It's not like, ooh, I think I can make 10x on this game or 15x on this game, so let's get all the money out of the people that we can. No, it's just like, it's the normal like 5-6x. You apply it, and that's it. And, if a game's more risky, you might put the 6x on it, right? Like this, because it's bigger and heavier. And so if shipping goes crazy, you need that margin there to make up the losses. Like we lost a lot because the shipping went bonkers on Wonderland's War the first time, right? Like it was bad. It was not good. So you have to have margin in your games so that you don't get in a situation where you're coming back and asking people for more money to get the shipping if shipping goes wonky. Or even if the supply goes up, right? Like because we are making these games so far or we're selling them far in advance of when we're making them, We might get a quote from the manufacturer. Usually those are good for 6 months. Sometimes some places are only 3 months. Well, we're not ready to make the game, right, in 3 months or 6 months. I mean, some people can, but that's not the way that we do it, because we try to work with you. So if you give us good suggestions or things that we want to add to the game, those can't be implemented, tested, and balanced in 3 to 6 months, right? You just can't. Now, if I was Hasbro and I had 20 people working on games, sure, maybe, right? Like, you could really pound through that. But that's just not how it works in board gaming for the most part, right? At least for me, right? And especially now that I don't have a team. I am just me. So things are going to be a little bit slower, but what I'm doing to compensate for that is I'm going to be doing less, right? So at Skybound, they really pushed me and the department to have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games a year, right? To keep revenues up and all that kind of stuff. I don't have to worry about any of those forecasts. And I just need to make great games, make enough money to survive as a company and feed my family. That's really all I want to do. I don't care about being the #1 publisher in the world or anything like that. I want to make great games the way that I see them, the way that I enjoy making games. I want to give that experience to you so you can enjoy them. And then I want to make enough money that, I can pay my rent, I can go on a couple vacations a year, and that I can safely make the next project with the capital from the previous game. So, that's it. Wonderland's War is coming back to Kickstarter. 100% under Druid City Games. Freaking stoked. I'm able to give everybody what they wanted, right? More content. And listen, I know a lot of people are like, well, what about new factions? We wanted new factions. We hear you. We want to do new factions as well. So we're probably going to be working on, not probably, we are working on a factions-focused expansion that will probably come along. I don't know. Maybe next year. Hopefully next year. But we're working on 2 factions. We've got like 4 concepted. 2 that we're very excited about that kind of, floated their way to the top. And then we'll be pushing those forward. And also a few other little modular things to add to the game. We don't want to get too crazy with the modular things in the game, just because there is already a lot of variability in the game. And it's really, really hard to balance and playtest when you have that many variables. So, there is the Wonderland's War news. Next up, Banner Festival. Banner Festival has finally got its release date. It will be coming out at Essen. So if you're at Essen, go by the Lucky Duck booth, who we've partnered with on that game, and buy yourself a copy. It's ready to go. $40 MSRP. So a fantastic trick-taking-esque game. There are some videos out on the internet already. We've sent some stuff out to people to get playthroughs. You can just search that up, find the one that you want to find. Really excited about that. I think people who like trick-taking are going to see. It's like trick-taking meets area control. It's really cool. And it plays in like 30, 40 minutes. So, and it's affordable. And it still feels deluxe. Ding, ding, ding. I checked out the boxes. And I'm really excited. For the U.S., it should have a similar release date, but shipping and things are still a little chaotic as far as like how timing goes. Now the prices have come down; they're not where they were pre-pandemic, but the logistics side is still a bit of a mess. So we're still working out some details there. You'll definitely be able to get it for the holidays though. With that Wonderland War news, that means something has to take a back seat, and unfortunately that is Bloodstone. So if you're waiting for Bloodstone, unfortunately that is now been pushed to a next year Kickstarter relaunch. It hurts my soul a little bit to keep having to delay it, but it's the right move. It's people want the Wonderland's War stuff now, and I hate seeing people pay $400 for the game on eBay and third-party stuff. So that's what had to happen. I only have so much bandwidth. It's hard to run a company by yourself. It's hard to keep everything moving on all the projects. So, unfortunately, my time is dedicated to Tidal Blades 2 and Wonderland's War, and Bloodstone is just going to have to take a back seat for now. Speaking of Tidal Blades 2, dev's going great. We're still on schedule. Nothing has fell off schedule. The playtesters are doing a phenomenal job, by the way. We have a Discord. You can reach out to me or you can reach out to Tim Eisner if you would like to help playtest some of the scenarios in the game. And join the Discord, the playtest Discord. we'll have opportunities for playtesting the Wonderland's War expansion, Bloodstone, all the games that we're making. This Discord is a great place to hop in and just see if you want to jump into doing some of those playtests. We are working on some pretty cool rewards for our playtesters. So if you need to be bribed, there you go. And speaking of Discord, I would suggest you go join that. We've got like 350 people in there. It's a great little community that we're building. I typically answer things much more quickly through that because, listen, things get lost on social media. Newsletter stuff, it takes a ton of time to put that together. But Discord, if you have a question, I have a specific channel for Ask James Anything. So if you have any question for me, drop it in there. I'll answer it. I'm completely transparent. I don't really hide behind anything, just like these videos show you. So hop in there. You got a question about the game, a rules question, or why something's the way it is. Happy to answer it. So I would look for the Druid City Games Discord channel. All right, last but not least, I want to talk a minute about industry things. So there was there's a post on, sorry, I got a bad shoulder right now, and every time I move it, it just like shoots pain. That was the wincing face. The board game group, really big group on Facebook. You probably can't see that, but let me give you the gist of the really long thing is I'm done. The title of it is I'm done with Kickstarter Game Found board games. I wonder why this way of business is even viable anymore. Well, I am happy to tell you. Now he goes on to lay out the cost of shipping and VAT have made it untenable, and each of us has to assess the value we find in anything we buy, right? No matter what it is. But I want to, a couple things I want to address, but one thing specifically that I want is his opening statement of why is this viable? Or why do companies do this? Because I think there's a perception of like, well, it's not a good value for the consumer, so you shouldn't go down this road anymore. You should go down the retail road, so I can just walk into the store and buy it, and I don't have to pay for shipping and VAT and all that sort of stuff. And in a world without the things that we have to deal with, that would be fine, right? If I could convince the wholesale chain, the retail is wholesale, right? So you sell to distributors. So I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here. Distributors, then retailers buy from the distributors. If we could get support, we would do that. We'd happily do that. It makes everybody's life easier, right? You get a big volume order, you send that out. They sell through it, they order some more. That's the way it should work. It doesn't work that way. Now, if you're FFG or Stonemaier Games, and I'm not throwing shade at them, but they're highly established people, and they're recognizable, and people go get those games. And if you're Catan, Pandemic, those games are ordered regularly. The problem that we have as small publishers is we can't get the distro to buy our games and stock them. I'll have a new game that comes out, and a really big distro company who services thousands of retail board games will order 24. So you have several thousand stores that you supply to, and you order 24 of our games. What is that? How does that help anything? It doesn't. So they don't push it out to the retailers. They don't show the retailers what's available. The retailers, and this is all marked up. So it's not just me, James, like yelling at distro. And here's why a lot of these things happen. There's thousands of games coming out. So these distros, they're spread really thin. They get a little bit of everything. And if something catches fire, then they'll take more, right? But the problem is when they've got that many games that they stock, they offer hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games to retailers every month. And those retailers go, oh my God, I'm running a store, I'm running a business. I'm dealing with people calling in sick and this guy complaining in this Magic tournament and there's stuff that's constantly pulling their bandwidth. They don't have time to research 500 new games a month. And so what they do, and to sell that game well in their store, they need to know something about it. So that there's a little bit of investment in a game that they bring in. And so what do? They typically just go back to the things that they're already trained up on, right? Give me some more Catan. Give me some more Pandemic. Give me the new thing that's just like, give me the new Arc Nova, right? That's absolutely on fire that I don't have to do any work. People just want it. I just put it on the shelf and they come and buy it. Again, this is not me throwing shade. This is just me talking about the reality of the situation. So what does that do? And let me caveat this. I'm not covering every situation. So you come into the comments with, well, my store does it this way, or my distro does it. That's fine. But this is it's a generalization. I'm covering the general aches of this, this chain of the system. And you know what? I might make some enemies talking about it. They don't like it when you talk about it, right? Because then you're like, oh, you make us look bad in front of our consumers. But it is what it is. People ask why we go back to these avenues. Now I'm telling you. And again, I'm telling you from my perspective. I'm not covering everybody's perspective. James is not speaking for the entire industry. I'm giving you one viewpoint of one person who's done it for 7-8 years. And I have talked to a lot of other publishers who have these same issues. So it's not going to cover the gambit, but it's going to give you a pretty good insight of what's happening. So simply put, the reason we go back to crowdfunding is because it's the only viable, reliable way of funding our business and our projects and getting games to people. If there was a better way, we would investigate it. We would try it. We need to sell games to stay alive. That's how this works. And I think you guys have seen what happens when a game is popular and you didn't pick it up on Kickstarter and retail doesn't have the support, and I'm talking about Wonderland's War here, you can't get it. It's hard to find. Why are you going back to Kickstarter? Again, it costs a lot of money to make a print run, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to ship it. And so if you don't have that money up front in the bank, cash flow is a really hard problem for a small business. You're constantly spending, and we typically only get lumps of money once, so you got to really manage that lump of money. Like we're seeing that with like Sandy Peterson and Peterson Games. Now he brought a lot of this on himself because he made some like racist comments, so people don't want to support him anymore. But outside of that, right? Like if you mismanage that money, then or if you spool up too many projects where you're investing in them with the previous chunk of money, then you run out of money to take care of the project that got you the money in the first place. So like that's another reason why I don't want to spool up a bunch of projects. I want to take my time and really deliver, not just for the experience, that's the main reason, but the other reason is cash flow. And again, this is very businessy. Sorry if you don't like this sort of stuff, but I think if you're here, you probably don't mind it. That's why you're listening. So that's covering a lot of the reasons why we still need to go back there. And does it suck that shipping has went way up and that is something that your country applies to you? Yeah, it sucks. Trust me, if those things weren't there, we would sell more games. We don't want those things to be that way. I wish VAT was enforced the way it was enforced 5 years ago before Brexit. But you know what? When UK decided to do the things that they decided to do, and these are politicians, right? These are politicians that are harming us and making life hard for us. When they decided to do Brexit, they decided to leave the EU. All the other EU companies wanted to punish them. And the way that they decided to punish them is they changed a lot of these laws and how they apply VAT. And that's, what? People can say, well, you guys weren't applying it right to begin with. That's how they applied it to everybody across everything. We just did the things that they enforced, right? Now they're enforcing them in a different way, and we have to play ball, or they confiscate your stuff. Your stuff's gone. So it is what it is. We didn't make those laws. Trust me, if we had any power to change them, we would do our best. So what does that mean? It means, if you live in a place that charges 20% VAT, then you're just going to have to pay VAT. Like, that's not our law. Vote some people in who want to lower it or change it. That's what I would do. I have no idea why my camera's flickering with that light. That's really weird. Hopefully it's not too distracting. But that's the way that is. And then shipping is a pass through. Now again, I'm probably preaching to the choir. If you've watched my other videos, maybe if I turn this image off, maybe that'll make it stop. Nope. It wants to take my shirt from really red to light red. I don't know. So if you think about it, like shipping is pass through. Now in a lot of other industries, they mark up shipping. They mark up their costs because those costs come with bandwidth, right? So what that means is within the company, people have to work on these things. It takes a lot of payrolls going out to manage these things, and so they mark it up to help subsidize, pay for those hours that are going into managing that part of the business. So in this case, for the majority, I'm not going to speak for every board game company out there. I can't. I can only tell you what I know and what I've talked to my friends about within the industry. We not only not just do pass-through, we subsidize the shipping. So where most industries mark it up to help pay for all the hours that go into managing shipping, most companies subsidize it because the Amazons have ruined the way we all see the value associated with shipping. It should be free. It should be super cheap. Everybody else can do it. Why can't you guys? Here's a little anecdotal story. And we've all got different ones. So a friend of mine wanted 4 of these popcorn buckets at Disneyland. They're like, oh, they're hard to find. They're awesome, and I want them because I'm going to do some stuff to them, and I'm going to give them to friends. Blah blah blah. So I bought 4 of them, boxed them up. They're not heavy, but they're big, right? Like they're big. And so the box, luckily I had a box that fit all 4 of them, with bubble wrap and stuff pretty well. And for it to go from California to I think they're in Wisconsin. Was it Wisconsin or Indiana? It's Midwest somewhere, right? It was $88, and that is through the USPS slowest option they had, right? Most subsidized shipping that we have is $88. And they're like, oh my God, $88. I'm like, yeah, man, shipping, it's expensive. It is what it is. So on our end, we would love to just be able to pass through. So let's say it costs me $34 to ship you your games. I would love you just pay the $34. But I don't even get that. I knock it down to like 25 or 22 or whatever I can afford to do that still keeps my profit and loss on the total project within a range, just so that you don't get sticker shock on the shipping. And I am doing what the majority. Now, I think some companies like CMON and some of those other places have, it's a pure pass-through now. They're just like, listen, we can't keep subsidizing this. And that's a decision each publisher has to make on their own. For me, if I can keep the profit in law, like my goal is to make a 30% profit margin. I don't mind sharing that. That is, in most standard businesses, a hallmark to hit. Now your TVs and your electronics, they have huge profit margins, right? Like they're enormous. But they also make stuff that sits in warehouses, and they've got a different business model. So, somewhere between that 25 and 30% profit margin, that allows me to pay the people that I work with, pay myself, and then be able to have enough margin there that if something goes wrong with the project, it goes over production costs by 10%, or shipping goes up, then I have enough margin there to absorb the mistakes. It also allows me to invest in the next project, right? Whatever that next 2-3 projects, because we have to pay for a lot of stuff as we're doing it. And then sometimes you invest in a project and it doesn't even get made, right? You spend money on a project that at some point something goes wrong, it just doesn't work out, you have to get the game back, whatever, but that money's gone, right? So for us to function as a business and have some cash flow, we have to make some profit. That's just the way it is. What's an ethical profit margin? I've asked that question on Twitter, and I got an array of answers, right? And you've got people who, whether how far down the line you believe in capitalism, the market will set the price, and whatever way people are willing to pay. And me, I feel like I feel a bit more. I don't know the best way to describe it, but if I can make a 30% profit margin on our projects, I can do all those things I already told you that I want to be able to do. I don't need to make more money than that. The volume will help make more money. So if I make you something awesome and it goes bonkers and people want it, then my 30% profit margin just gets multiplied by the volume. Then I've done my job. And that, to me, feels fair. To me, that feels ethical. If do I sit back and go, cool, Wonderland's Wars, super popular right now. It's ranked inside the top 500. It's got an 8.3 on BGG. People are loving it. And people are paying $400 on eBay. I bet I could put it up there for $250. And people are like, "Ooh, that's like such a deal compared to eBay." But that would give me, that wouldn't fit in the 30% profit margin model that I've got. So again, I know I'm probably, I'm going to make people mad. I'm going to make friends mad, talking about profit margins and things like that within the industry. They don't want us to talk about stuff like that because, they want to be able to keep some stuff in the dark. And again, I'm talking again in more generalized terms. I want to land in that 30% range if I can. And sometimes, like right now, I'm looking at costs. I've got quotes for this reprint, and they're very high. And so, people are going to be like, "Oh my God, you charged $89 the first time for the deluxe edition. Why is it $160 this time? It's almost doubled." It's almost doubled in cost to make. It's more expensive. I know I am completely ranting now. Super rant. Ranty rant. But these kind of posts really bring out the rant in me because it's very cynical. It's very jaded. There's no empathy in people like this. None. Right? I don't understand why they're there. I just want to be able to buy the game at the cheapest possible way. I don't give a rat's ass what happens to people and behind it, or if they can pay them or whatever. I just want to enjoy the thing at the cheapest price possible. I know somebody's gonna get mad that I'm mocking this, but that's what it sounds like to us, right? It sounds like, and it is 100%. There's no empathy in that post. There's no self-reflection to understand what the other people on the other side are trying to do. It is a me-centered. It's a me-centered approach to the conversation. I want my games as cheap as possible. Why are you doing it this way? If we found a way to make games more affordably, ethically, we would do it. We would sell more games that way. That's why in the before times we used to say free shipping, right? Because we had the margins to build that into the project profit and loss, the shipping costs, the logistics. That margin is gone when ocean freight went bonkers, when shipping went bonkers, when the cost to make the games went up. There's still an expectation from you on what a game should cost. That has not gone up with the costs. It's very similar to our housing markets and issues here in the U.S., right? You talk to people who are 60, 70, 80 years old, and they're like, well, you just go stop by an avocado toast and go buy a house. A house is $1.2 million. A house is $600,000, right? I make $58,000 a year. We're only supposed to spend 25 to 30% of our monthly income net on our mortgage. That means we can buy a $200,000 house safely. $200,000 houses are hot garbage, depending on obviously where you live. You might say, I live in Ohio or Alabama, and you can get a really great house for $200,000. You live in Southern California, you can't buy land for $200,000. So, anyway, I guess you've gotten all this months of rantiness that's built up inside of me. Here's the thing. Your expectations for what a game should cost have not went up. When you go look at the shelf and you look at what's on there, you go, that should be a $40 game. Now, what that 10 years ago, yeah, but not anymore. The world has changed. Inflation has its effects. These manufacturers who have to shut down for weeks at a time in China because, they just enforce things differently there. They still have to make money. So they make up that downtime in costs, and their supplies coming in the cost of those things have risen. So for them to still make their profit margins, their prices have went up. All along the chain, the prices have continually went up over the last 3 years. And in some parts of that chain, they've went up dramatically, right? So when we can't increase the end price, it squeezes all those margins really tight. That's why you're seeing all these companies come back and say, I need to charge double for what I originally quoted on shipping. I need to, let people go and my team go so I can ship these games because I have to make up that money somewhere. It's just a math problem. And it's not fun. It's not easy. I just want to make cool games. I want to give them to you. And I wish shipping was cheap or free. I wish, I could put more games in people's hands. At the end of the day, you guys are going to have to change your expectations on what games cost. I know that sucks. That sounds bad. But this post and everything behind it, that's what it's focused around, right? This is a pain of the last 3 years. This is what this person is feeling right here. Is the things that I love to get have increased in price, but yet maybe my income has not increased, so I can't get as many. There's a lot of reasons why this comes out the way it does. I'm not going to start trying to psychoanalyze this guy or what's going on here. But end of the day, it sucks. I understand. There's stuff that I love that I wish it doesn't cost as much as it does, but it do. As they say, it be that way sometimes. So my last call is to be positive in the crowdfunding comments. Be supportive. Make your list. Make the list of games and or publishers that you love, that you want to support, and support them, right? That list may have to shrink down. I hope I make your list. I hope that you trust me with your funds to make you awesome games. I promise I'll do my very best. I promise to make games. If you go look at all the ratings on all of our games on BGG, anything Druid City Games, I feel like we're above average games as far as that goes. And I would say I'd put our art and components at the top of the list. There's some great other publishers out there who make great quality games. I think we're among them, I think Wonderland's War is going to hit some people's Game of the Year lists. And that's my goal. My goal is to make games that hit people's Game of the Year list. I want a game that makes the top 100 BGG. That's one of my big, ultimate, pie-in-the-sky goals. Can I make a game that makes... Will Wonderland's War get there? Maybe. We're at 467, and we climb spots every day. And that's with only the limited amount of people that have been able to play it. So I know that once we do this next campaign, people get the game and they're able to kind of play it some more, then it has a chance to be rated more, which that's a big part of the algorithm, yada, yada, yada. But if you go look at the games that are... When you break into the top 500, you are in the top 0.5% of all games all time. Every game that we pass on this list are fantastic games. And that brings me so much joy. There's a few things that we're going to fix with this reprint. Jabberwocky's going to get more powerful. Mad Hatter's going to get a little nerf. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. He's just a little too juicy. Jabberwock, just a little too situational. We need his powers to apply a little bit more broadly. And then he'll be in the mix more. These are things that would be an easy update if it was a video game. A little patch, fix, done. But it's a little tougher. And once we get those, what we're going to do is we're going to release those as PDF. So everybody who already owns the game, you'll be able to download those, print them out, lay them. You can have a homemade whatever. But if you order the expansion and whatever else, we've got a few other goodies we're going to be putting in the campaign. We will send you new player boards for that. But we'll release the PDF so that you can start playing your games with these updated characters right away.
All right, I think I have ranted about all the things long enough. I'm over 30 minutes. I did good. long story short is, I need to help. I need ambassadors. I need champions out there shouting down some of this cynical. Because when it comes from the publishers, it's like, oh, you guys, of course you guys are saying that. Of course. You've got skin in the game. You're going to tell us whatever we want to hear, so we'll just pay you. And maybe, again, I can't speak for everybody. Maybe there are some bad publishers. Maybe there's some people who don't have good intentions. I don't think that's the majority of publishers. I think that's a very small percentage. Unfortunately, the people who do it, I'm choosing my words wisely. I'm going to let this process for a second. The people who do it in a way that's not as transparent or gray area, those are the ones that stick out in people's minds, and then they try to apply that broadly. I think CMON charging, not subsidizing. I'm just assuming. I don't know. I'm not talking to anybody at CMON, but just me analyzing. Them no longer subsidizing their enormous box of games is I feel like what the result we're seeing here. And then that gets applied across everybody, right? And there's some fairness to that because CMON is a leader. They were one of the first people who really pushed. Zombicide was one of the big things that brought tabletop gaming to crowdfunding in a big way. So when they do the thing where they're like, our estimates were this, and then they double it on the actual, I understand people's frustrations with that. Once you set an expectation, that's what people want it to be. I get it. And that's why, we set an expectation on Tidal Blades 2 for the shipping costs. Now, I have more information. We're a little closer. I wish I could bump that up 15, 20%. But that would piss everybody off. Everybody would be in torches and pitchforks. So, I probably won't do that. Probably just eat it. Probably just eat into that margin that I was talking about. And that's okay, right? Long as it's not like the situation we have with Wonderland's War, that's okay. That's why we build in margins. That's why we try to do the best we can to estimate those prices. And, one of the things that we're probably going to go back to doing is selling promo cards. I think that's a great way to help subsidize shipping. It gives you something for what you're spending. Again, being very transparent, the profit margin on making a pack of promo cards is higher than the board game. So selling those really helps make up some of that margin loss. Now, we did that for Wonderland's War. We sold a lot of promo cards, and it didn't, it helped, but it didn't touch the deficit. It didn't touch it. Not even close. But even if, on my end, if I'm short, because again, I'm already subsidizing the price of shipping on Tidal Blades 2. So if that price increases more, then that's just a bigger subsidization, eats more into the margin. So if I can sell some promo cards or some things that have a higher margin, it helps bring that back into that range that I hoped it would be in. That's the goal. That's the goal. It's not to squeeze more. It's not a money grab. It's not a way to get more money, squeeze every little nickel out of you that we can. We aren't Disney, right? We don't have stockholders that have demands of us of year-over-year growth. And what does your forecast look like? Now, I can't speak for every company. The majority of board game companies, they're self-owned. They're private companies. And most just want to... it's nice to grow. It's nice to have financial security. Those things are great. I bet you want those in your job, in your career, right? You want a promotion. We want a promotion. Our promotion comes in way of selling more games and being more popular and having more success. I think we all want that for our careers. Ours is just intrinsically tied to our hobby. It's intrinsically tied to a lot of things, our self-worth, because when we make you something and someone takes it, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of hours in that board game. And when somebody takes it and they're like, this game's shit, I hate it, it's broken, it's unbalanced, it's garbage. Art is subjective, and what we make is art. But that it hurts. It does not feel good to have something that you've poured so much of your effort into, somebody just to poo-poo all over it. That's such as art. It is what it is. So I don't really have a good. I was just again sharing. All right, I have ranted as long as I need to rant. I have a meeting soon that I need to go to. So, thank you for listening. If you're still listening at this point, I will get these back on a more weekly basis, so that you don't have to listen for 40 minutes of me ranting. I really like to try to keep these to 15 to 20 minutes, so they're a bit more like an appetizer instead of an entree. Consumable. I think that's the industry term. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for listening to these, and I promise to have more back soon. And I'm really excited to have control over my stuff again, and I'm excited to get you. And I'm so excited that you guys are loving Wonderland's War. I'm excited to do this new campaign. So be on the lookout. I'll have a pre-launch page hopefully this week, might be next week. But I'll get that pre-launch page up so that you can hit that notify me button. That is huge. I would please go do that. It really is helpful. All right. Talk to y'all soon on the next one.